Hello and welcome to Dad's Job episode 5. This is your host Adam Leatherbarrow with Rob Halton and Callum Halton. Guys, how are we getting on this week?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I am living my best life this week, actually. Cal?
I'm breathing.
You're breathing.
I'm here.
So we're polar opposites this week.
No, I'm alright. I'm in a good mood.
Is that the rum?
Yeah, it probably is.
It's the rum.
Fully the rum.
He's drinking rum. Adam?
Yeah, good mate. Good. Yeah, busy week at work as usual. Other than that, sound.
Interesting drive tomorrow?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a long drive in the morning tomorrow, but there's no dramas really. Yeah, I can't talk about it.
I apologise. I have a long drive on Saturday. I have to go and work in Wolverhampton. I'm very excited about it.
Oh, nice. You not far from the Molyneux?
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah.
No, I'm not far from the Molyneux.
Steve Ball stand and statue.
Have a little look around.
Yeah,
if I've got time.
I've got a long drive as well on Saturday, but I'll lead into that with the goals and own goals. So
okay.
Last weekend, myself and my fellow co-host, had a party that we went to.
That is true.
Which was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it, Adam?
It was a great little party, yeah. You was a bit unsure whether you could actually drink, and then as soon as I passed you the tin of beer, that was it.
Yeah,
we was there for the afternoon.
That was and parenting completely went out the window. So it was just basically me and Adam talking about football and drinking ultimately. But
brilliant.
Yeah, it was actually fantastic, and
Let's point on the fact that the party was a 1-year-old's birthday party, and it's our friends. Messy play was involved. There was a sausage roll, cupcakes,
just one sausage roll,
and that was
just the one. Yeah, just one long one, just cut about 300 times.
and that was just me and Adam. We were just buzzing, mate. So it was going fantastic. Right at the end, of course, no injuries, obviously. Kids start dancing, both start dancing, having the time of his life. Patrick Swayze.
I know where this is going.
And all of a sudden, I mean, this is a little bit worrying. I don't know if this is just a West Ham thing or just an Adam thing. From nowhere, absolutely nowhere, he just pulls out a tube. No, none of that, Rob. Yeah, he just pulls out a tube of bubbles. Yeah. Like from nowhere, so like absolutely from nowhere, no bubbles anywhere in sight. Adam just walks up, like his little secret stash, starts playing bubbles. Yeah, kids go wild. Yeah, Bo's running around like a nutter, and headbutts another child and gets a massive bruise on his head. Yeah, so thank you for that, Adam. That was a fantastic own goal.
For the record, I don't go around to public events and have my own stash of bubbles. They were on the side.
I reckon
but I could not resist.
100% brought them from home. He's a liar.
100% bought his own bubbles and turned my nephew into a member of the firm. So thanks a lot. He's like a West Ham riot.
I think he's more like a member of the zoo, because the bump on his head, he could have been mistaken for a rhino. So.
Yeah.
Bless him. I do apologise.
The other kid had concussion. Had to go to hospital. But yeah, no, it's actually fantastic.
It's a good job you had a paramedic there as one of the dads.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that is true. But from that, which was one of the own goals, it then brought him home. All of a sudden, we see spots on the back of his neck. Wake up the next day, he's absolutely covered. So on the Sunday, we had to drive him all the way down to my mother-in-law's to look after for the week because he's now got chickenpox.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he's actually down the mother-in-law's looking after. She's looking after him, so another week down there. But I suppose one of the goals was that I've had a full week of sleep and not waking up twice every night, or 3 times every night. So I have missed him dearly.
Thanks, Grandma.
Thank you, my mother-in-law. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Mum.
Thank you to the kid at nursery for passing the chicken pox on to your son.
Well, to be fair, you've got a few spots. I thought you might have passed it on the old chicken pox.
Excuse me. That is borderline gingerism.
That's a thing, isn't it, as well, right?
What?
Gingerism.
Gingerism.
So you're 2-0 down, Cal.
Well, yeah, and a full night, and a full week of sleep. So
an assisted own goal by myself.
Yeah, so 2-0 down, sent off for an early shower.
Yeah,
right.
But I just Adam did also kick Bo when he was on the floor as well.
I elbow dropped him. For the record, I don't beat up kids. Oh yeah, because with chickenpox, is that obviously that's the first time he's had it, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's the first time he contracted it. I remember Connie when she had chickenpox. She was 9 months, so she was So I'm quite glad that she caught it so early on. That it didn't really affect her that much because she was only she was not even a toddler. She was like crawling around, so it didn't really affect her that much.
To be
Whereas
fair,
I think
Bo,
if she got it now, I could see her being a bit more whingy about it.
no, to be fair, Bo has been good as gold. Apparently, well, apparently not that I know because I ain't seen him. But yeah, like
3-0 down.
Yeah, the mother-in-law said like, he hasn't. I think he had one night he was actually sick, but other than that, he sort of worn it quite well. So yeah.
He wears it well.
Come on in, Rob. Talk to us.
Well, I'm going to go for a draw this week. So I'll start with the own goal. Being a parent to kids who are going to school and nursery in very different locations causes some issues. So Danny goes to school maybe 5 or 6 miles in one direction, and then I have to come back those 5 or 6 miles to then go another maybe just about 2 miles in the opposite direction. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't, but when you're doing the school run, that might as well be going to Mordor, and
especially with the traffic. And on the way, because we live in the country, and there's like a few sort of villages we have to drive through to get there. There's no road marking, so people can still park in front of their houses, which is obviously fine, but their houses just so happen to be on a main road as well. So it's a country lane, Bob. Yeah, you have to go.
Mate, honestly, and I'm sitting in this traffic and I'm thinking, I'm going to be late to drop him off, let alone get her back. So the own goal this week is having to come to terms with doing the drive and it almost having echoes of what it was like when we lived in London and having to sit in traffic. Because when you used to come off the old the A13 into the Ripple, was it called Ripple?
Ripple Road.
Ripple Road, right? You know where that weird architecture was?
Oh, the roundabouts?
Yeah.
Interesting story. Right. That was my work experience project.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crap. And
you designed it?
I didn't design it. I had done the site inspection for it when I worked at Barking Council with architect Brian Byer.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Who's now a very well-respected and well-retired architect. So that was my work experience. I used to go over there, and because that was the impression of that roundabout is that the artist visualised that someone was pinching the road and pulling it up. So it gave if people live in Dagenham and are aware of those roundabouts, that was the impression of it. But unfortunately, it became a skater's paradise. So,
you do realise now that is going to have more Google views than we've got streams.
Only if they listen to us.
Yeah. But it was literally like sitting in that single file traffic. That's what it's like trying to get Danny to school, particularly. Alea's isn't so bad because that is country lanes, but it's getting back to get her there. But then the goal this week, I suppose you could say there are 2 goals. But firstly, Alea's finally got some glasses, so she's seeing quite well now, and she seems really excited about that, and she looks really cute. Even though the experience of trying to get them was quite a traumatic one, because she did not play ball in the opticians. But she's got her glasses, so she's living her best life now. She loves sort of taking them off and polishing them. And then Danny, this is today actually. Danny took part in PE today, and they all had to do cross country. And out of the whole of his year group, to get into like the top set for PE or however they're doing it, you had to be able to do the cross country around the school twice or whatever it was, which was a mile, and come in the top 34. And Danny came in at 24. Oh, so I was really, and I think there's like over 100 kids in year 7. So like, he's in like the top sort of 15% of the kids in his year group
pretty good
for physical education, which for Danny is amazing. So Danny came out with a big win today, so I'm really proud of him actually, because I think sort of sports physical education can be a place where he really, really will excel as he grows up. So good start for his confidence, I think.
That's good. So you ended the week on a draw. That does sound better than a draw.
Oh, I suppose maybe we could call it 2-1 because of the glasses. I chucked in the glasses, but it kind of popped into my mind as I was talking. I was like, no, I should definitely mention that. So I'll call it a 2-1, but in the 93rd minute.
Yeah. Is this like our quizzes that you're meant to be winning, but it's definitely a draw?
I'll go with a bonus point there. Me this week, obviously Cal's picked up on the own goal. So I'm already, if it's a 2-legged affair, I'm already 1-0 down on this. So I'm starting my game now. So encouraging kids to for baby mosh pits based with bubbles. But yeah, other than that, not really much to talk about this week in terms of Connie wise. But she has started to find her voice. So she's got a couple of microphones at home, and now she's like memorising songs and nursery rhymes that she's picking up. So I'm just going to do a little clip here of her singing, and tell me what you think. So that's her singing the ABCs at 2.5 years old.
I think Kerry's really come along, mate.
Yeah.
I hope she's getting.
Me, really.
I hope she's getting some commission of that. How much are you paying her?
No, that's lovely.
Cocoa Melon microphone. I think is and it's emphasised her voice a lot more, and that's the positive. So she's picking up on the songs a lot more and starting to be a bit more colourful with her voice.
That's nice.
So colourful that I went to take her and Connie her and Buddy for a walk, and she's let go of my hand. She goes, "Daddy, want to play on the park?" I'm like, "Okay," and she's run off. And when you're walking a 32 kilo Basset, he just sniffs and stays still. He doesn't even want to go for a walk. And she's running off. She's running up on top of the hill. You know the little mounds out of the play area, right? She's going on the top and going, "Connie, stop!" I say, "There's a road there." And she's turned round, she's looked and she's gone, "No!" Ooh. Stamped her foot, clenched her fist, then laughing, and she's going, "No, Daddy, I'm staying here." And I'm like, "Oh, now we're getting that." So, sorry, is there something bothering you? Or is there a pigeon or something?
I can hear it vibrating.
Yeah, there's a noise.
Oh, it's me.
It's me on the chair. It's the chair. No, sorry, the story was lovely, but I was so distracted by this vibrating sound.
Sorry, boys.
I was going to say you brought the wrong bag over, didn't you? What are you putting in the bag?
No, bless her. But this is kind of like what you were saying last week, isn't it? Like, she's so much more confident in her own skin, isn't she?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So, yeah, and the singing was lovely.
Yeah, the singing was a highlight. So
I think next week it should be you doing it, Adam. I think you should do a little duet.
Oh, we done our duet. We done our. Is it a triplet? Is that a triplet? Is that a triplet?
Yeah, I guess.
The tenors with
a trio.
A trio. There you
Come
go.
on.
With the tenors, but the way we sound, we're more like fighters.
How long have you been waiting to use that?
Just all my life. Okay, so we'll go on to, obviously it was international break, and England had played 2 games. And they played Ireland in what was, how can I put it, the most shithousery results I've ever seen by England in my life. For England to beat Ireland in their own patch with Declan Rice scoring and Jack Grealish and being managed by an ex-Ireland international was probably pretty nice. Pretty nice one-up on the Irish, isn't it? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, so let me just start by saying I hate the international break, and the international break is never kind to football teams, not just Arsenal, and I feel like everyone could agree that we could have done without them.
Yeah, I think especially with the condensed summer that we had with the expanded Euro competition and players only coming back to their clubs 2 weeks before the season starts, I think that, we agree. They've played 3 games and then they've gone on to another international break. But there was an opportunity there because a lot of big teams were in the second division of that Nations League. They could have fielded their B squad, and many of them didn't. So it's quite telling.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did watch the game, and I thought, I mean, they did in both games. England did what I expected them to do, which was to win, and the reality is I would have expected nothing less. I did think Carsley's football was a little bit more expansive and a little bit more enjoyable to watch.
Isn't it like, I'm not a Carsley fan, but isn't it nice to see players play in their position?
Well, yeah, I think so. And I know that there was some injuries there, and I know that some people were unavailable, but it was quite nice. I mean, I know that we made the joke of Jack Grealish, but it was actually quite nice to see Jack Grealish playing quite freely and well.
Especially with no Foden and Bellingham in the squad.
But I also think it shows that there's not always a necessity either. Like, you want to play your best team in the best games, right? But I think there was an element towards the end of Gareth's tenure that he was trying to shoehorn people in, and actually he should have just played. He should have made a big decision, dropped one of them, and played someone on the left, like Gordon.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I thought the team looked more comfortable. But I do think, going forward, but I do think that we still looked shaky at the back. I still think there was a lot of uncertainty at the back, and actually we could have been done a couple of times in both games. I do think Rice has looked better in those games than he has so far this season for Arsenal, and actually I think Kane looked better than he did.
Kane looked fitter than the summer, didn't he?
That's what I was going to say. He looked better than he did in the summer. So I think that's good for England football, and it's good for their respective clubs. Obviously, Rice will be back against City. And I think they controlled the game and they did what they had to do. I quite liked that of Lee Carsley's players that he picked who hadn't had caps before. I thought Angel Gomez did a really good job. He looked quite exciting, as well as Madueke. Madueke. I thought he did really good when he came on the right for Saka, especially against Finland. Obviously, set up Kane's goal. I do still think that that Saka was overplayed, though. There was no need that Saka had to play as many minutes as he did over the international break, but that seems to be an issue with England at the moment, and overplaying.
Yeah.
Certain players, but yeah.
Cal, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what Rob said. I can't stand the international breaks. It does my nutting, and again, it has such a major effect on what happens in the league and in cups and stuff. People might be listening and go, "Oh, you're bitter because Arsenal's had an absolute shocker during this international break." But I just think we just had a major tournament, and less than a month or 6 weeks later, or whatever it might be, we're already having friendlies. I can't see the point of it, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's not like it's interesting football. It's almost like I find it a bit of a glorified friendly, to be honest with you. And I know it's all nice to get caps, and it's the pinnacle of football, but I don't see it. But to be fair, one thing I did see actually, obviously Harry Kane, his 100th appearance and scoring 2 goals.
Yeah, that was the following fixture.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just talking about fixtures in general. The international break in general. But I did see an interesting question, and I think I can't remember. I think it was on TalkSport actually. Who's had a better career?
Jamie Vardy
or Harry Kane?
I think I had the same debate.
Yeah. Would you? Obviously, I had a chance to talk to you boys all week, but what's your thoughts on that? Who's had a better career, Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane?
What, as an individual or as a team member?
As an individual.
As an individual, Harry Kane.
You think then Jamie Vardy?
Because as a covenant as to why I asked that, because Harry Kane has won a lot of individual accolades in terms of golden boots. Like, he's won a golden boot at the Euros, he's won a golden boot at the World Cup. He was the Bundesliga golden boot winner. He's been a Premier League golden boot winner. But that's all Harry Kane trophies. When you look at trophies that people would celebrate and congratulate more, then you'd consider Jamie Vardy to be more decorated in that. Considering the guy was playing non-league football and had a massive projection, going from Fleetwood Town to Leicester City for £1 million, and winning the Premier League, which is every Englishman's,
And the FA Cup.
and the FA Cup as well. Yep. And then to also add to that, when he was 37 years of age with a relegated Leicester, they won the Division 1 Championship as well. So again, that's a prestige. I'd say the Division 1 or the Championship trophy is a prestigious trophy that's worth winning. 100%. It's one of the oldest trophies that's going, aren't
Absolutely,
they?
yeah.
So for him to win the top 2 tiers of English football league trophies, as well as the oldest cup competition in the world, Jamie Vardy's had a more successful career in a team, but I'd say Harry Kane has been more the successful individual in terms of accolades.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult question to answer, because I think the nature of the question is difficult to answer, but I also don't particularly like either of them. So I kind of feel like I'm biased anyway. I do take your point. I think that Harry Kane has got some really incredible personal accolades, but the problem with those accolades is they are personal to him, and the only time that anyone is ever really going to talk about them is when he retires, when he's compared to someone, or in a pub quiz, who won the Golden Boot in 2003, or 2022. I just don't really. I get it.
He's had a lot of runners-up medals. Like when you take that into account, when you look at teams, like he's had a Champions League runners-up medal. He's had 2 Euros runners-up medals.
Yeah, well, first loser, congratulations. Arsenal were first losers in the last 2 seasons, and everyone mocks us for it, so I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
And then the
he's North London player. He's Arsenal fan, isn't he?
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but he's
Good for
never
him.
paid for us, so it doesn't matter.
And then
Where's his rosette, Rob? Where's his rosette?
what, for coming second? And
That's a great question, though, Cal.
no, it's a good question. And then the Jamie Vardy one. Again, I'm not a big fan of Jamie Vardy, but I do like the story, and I think Kane's got an amazing story as well. Like, jokes aside, bitterness aside, he was let go by Arsenal, and he made a fantastic career for himself at Tottenham, and is now playing at one of the biggest clubs in the world, Bayern Munich, and will have ample opportunity to still win stuff before he retires, and potentially with England. But I also really like Jamie Vardy's story. I think it's a wonderful story. It's like a Hollywood biopic, right? It is such an incredible story. And even, getting relegated, winning the championship, coming back up, and then scoring on his reintroduction into the Premier League against Tottenham. Like, there's just so many.
And then reminded them how many Premier League trophies he's won over their club.
And it's the reason why he's Marmite. It's the reason why people love him, people hate him. But they are both fantastic footballers. They are both incredible footballers.
I think there's one thing to point out as well, that Harry Kane has time on his side to eclipse Vardy, hasn't he? Because if you think he's probably got a good chance of winning the Bundesliga this year, when you look at a league title, regardless of what country it's in, I think he's got an opportunity to win that in the next season. He's got an opportunity to win a domestic trophy in Germany as well. So he could domestically match him in one season, and then he's still got another 5 years left in him.
Yeah. I mean, but to answer your question, honestly, I do think Harry Kane's had a better career. I would say Jamie Vardy just to wind people up. But Jamie Vardy has also had an incredible career. But I just think in terms of football going forward and strikers going forward, other than maybe Haaland, I think Harry Kane is going to be the benchmark, particularly if you're an English striker growing up. You are going to want to be the next Harry Kane. You're not going to want. I just don't see as many kids saying, I want to be Jamie Vardy. Maybe Leicester fans, maybe Fleetwood Town fans. But if you are a British kid, for the most part, we're not in the generation of Henry anymore. Like, all we ever wanted, all the kids after us, the Micah Richards still talk about it, right? Daniel Sturridge, sorry. They were all Thierry Henry fanboys.
And Dean Sturridge.
But they were all Thierry Henry fanboys, right? We are now in the era and the legacy that is going to be left by Kane. And I think that because of that, you can't ignore those. You can't ignore that.
Do you think he'll be around for the next 2 major international tournaments?
Definitely one.
At England setup.
Definitely the next one. Because he'll be 33, is that right?
He'll be 33, almost 30. Yeah, but borderline 34 for
The
USA.
thing is with Kane, he's got that kind of Lewandowski.
Ronaldo, maybe, because he does physically keep himself well, doesn't he? Or fit, doesn't
I don't mean in terms of fitness. I mean, I think he's got that Lewandowski kind of like presence, doesn't he? He's clinical and he doesn't need to run that much. I know he likes to drop into the 10, but long term, you could just stick him in between the sticks and he'd finish them, wouldn't he?
What about you, Cal? You've asked the question. What's your opinion on it?
I'm actually going to go against you, both of you. I know you're saying about individual, he's golden boot this and so on and so forth, but for me, people are going to ask what you won, and they're going to want to know Premier League, FA Cup, Championship, and how many times are people? You say about people that win trophies. Vardy won the league for them, with the team, but his goals were valued and won them the league. And yes, Harry Kane might have 6 golden boots or whatever he's got, but it hasn't helped their team to go on and win anything. So yes, all right, he's a fantastic striker, and yes, he could still do that, even though I wouldn't nowhere near put the German league anywhere near the Premier League. So I wouldn't even say that would equal it nowhere near what Vardy's done, because it's a completely different kettle of fish. But for me, Vardy was pinnacle in the season that they won the league. And you talk about moments, you can't really celebrate a golden boot at a dinner when they get given it, but scoring a goal or winning the league and having that moment with the fans, I think that's what football's about, and that's what people are going to remember.
Yeah, nobody's going to have a bus stop tour for Harry Kane's golden boot, are they?
No.
And I think that's
I don't think he's going to get.
He's missed out on at the moment.
Yes, yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say I feel sorry for him, but this is it. If Henry had got golden boot for 6 years but never won the league or the FA Cup, he wouldn't have a statue outside Arsenal.
Yeah, that's true. True.
Yeah, I do think what you're saying is fair, but then I also think if we're just defining by trophies, I think we can end up down a rabbit hole, because then if you go by that philosophy, you've proved a lot of Man United fans right, because Erik ten Hag is better than Arteta. Then I just think I don't think it's always applicable, and I think, like I said, I think Vardy's got an amazing story, and he's got incredible achievements. But I think that when we look at the benchmark of the 9, I don't think there's many better in football.
Yeah,
I just don't think there are.
Right, let's change the question. What would you rather have, the Golden Boots or the Premier League?
I'd rather have the Premier League, but at the same time, he didn't get that. And he had the opportunities, right? But I also think that his footprint in football is bigger than Vardy's. That's what I think.
No, I don't disagree with that.
And that's why
he's going to inspire the next. I don't know who. I don't know who the next up and coming striker is in the under 21s. Maybe Liam Delap. I don't know.
Ipswich boy.
Yeah,
but do you know what's really sad?
You can see him looking at Harry Kane. I think him, and this I think going into that in terms of someone that has he broken the goal scoring record? Most goals for England at the minute.
No, it's still Shearer, isn't it?
No.
Is it Charlton or something?
No, it's Rooney. No, I think
he's
Kane.
I think he's close. If not, he might have done it. I don't know. But then he's entered the 100 cap club that only a handful of players have actually done. And if he continues the way he is,
it is Kane. 68 in 100.
So he's the record goal scorer of all time.
And he's so you know, Wayne Rooney is on 53. That's how far ahead he is.
Yeah. So he's England's record goal scorer. He was the captain that led us to 2 finals and a semi-final at the World Cup. And then also he's in the 100 cap club, and it works out that if he plays consistently for England over the next 2 years, by the World Cup final in 2026 in USA, he would have broken the cap record of 125 caps, which is held by Peter Shilton, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's got that point. So based off him winning his 100th cap against Finland, how would you rate Lee Carsley's first 2 games out of 10?
Well, I just think he did as he was expected. So I don't think he set the house on fire though. So 6.
6. What yourself?
Yeah, I think you've got to be around that. I think he's. Let's be honest. He's got the job. We said this last week. I think he's got the job anyway. But I would say he's got to be around the 6 mark, 6.5, 6. Yeah, 5.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's
not like we beat him 8-0, is it?
You could have put anyone. You could have put Harry Kane in charge of that team. They should have beaten them. They should have had enough motivation behind them. But I like the fact he integrated the under 21 players that he used to win a trophy with, and has put them into the setup. And as Southgate said, there's progress now. You can see the progress in the setup. So that's the international break over. Woohoo!
Thank God for that. When's the next one?
I think that is October. Yeah. Next month.
Just as Martin Odegaard comes back from injury, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
But is there any particular clubs you want to laugh at in a minute?
Yes, there is a club I would love to laugh at, and actually, it's time for another episode of Let's All Laugh at Man U. Let's all laugh at Man U.
La 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 la.
Hey!
La 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 la.
Hey! Yes, it really is a theatre these days, Old Trafford, especially if you like comedies, because this week Ronaldo has dug out. What's that?
No, it just reminded me that he has dug out.
Ronaldo has this week once again criticised Erik ten Hag after he said that after Erik ten Hag said at the beginning of the season that United would not be competing for the big trophies. And I think Ronaldo's massive criticism of this was, how can you be the manager of Man United and not be trying to challenge for the big trophies? It's absolutely unacceptable. He said many things. What made the whole thing even more laughable was that he said this on Rio Ferdinand's podcast, this kind of Man United fanboy, all part of that boys club of Gary Neville and everything, and they're sitting there and they are just kicking it in again to Ten Hag. Now I have to say, I'm laughing at Man U, I'm not laughing at Ten Hag. All right, I feel for the guy, actually. I'm at the point now where I feel sorry for him, because he's a dead man walking. They tried to replace him in the summer. They couldn't find him, so it's kind of like, well, we'll stick instead of twisting. And they've even brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy now to sit on the bench with him, almost like to hold his hand, his carer or something. And actually, I think it's actually quite insulting. So I'm laughing at Man U because I think they are a shambles, to quote Mr. Jamie O'Hara. And
of all the people to quote,
I do a lot of drive at 10. I know it's not called drive, is it? I listen to the radio a lot at 10 p.m. When I'm driving home from work. And Sports bar, right? Has anyone seen?
That love for him.
They've got copyright on it.
That's why I stopped. But what do you think?
I'm indifferent about it. I think the circus continues. The show goes on. Different ringmaster.
You're really chucking them out, aren't you, the references?
Yeah. He's.
Do you think old Van Nistelrooy?
This is the greatest show.
Do you think he's going to be the next manager? Do you reckon they put him in there to go, right, we're sacking him in November?
If they do, the guy has not really had that much experience, and I think to throw in another Man United legend to throw under the bus in the space of time since Ferguson left, I think it would be wrong for him to do so. I think they need to get someone. Either you stick with Ten Hag, you back the process, because at the end of the day, you've bought the entire Ajax squad anyway. So have the ex-Ajax manager to manage them.
Do you know what I did find interesting? And like I say, I'm not trying to be serious, because I know we're just ripping into Man United, but
but you love it though, as Arsenal.
No, I do love it. Yeah,
that's why we're doing the Daily Man United. A lot of TalkSport references to that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but how they've come out and said basically they need to start from foundations again, and completely change the whole ethos of the club and sort of bring it up to the 21st century or whatever century are we now. But it was interesting about how when Ronaldo left under that big smoke, and he spoke about even like the changing room being outdated and things not being up to date, and it's almost like, how long's he been gone now? 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah,
and
since the World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, now they've actually come out admitted and gone, like we need a whole new, a new
when you say
start.
When you say like the progress, I'm quite glad I thought of this. When you say they've brought themselves into the 21st century, it's 20.
Needing to,
it's 24 years into the 21st century. Like they should have been planning for the post Ferguson era for a long time. Like they were never ever going to let him continue.
But do you think that's a failure of football clubs in general? It's like moment by moment, not planning.
There's no contingency plan, isn't there? Because of it. I mean, you could argue that the contingency plan was there with David Moyes when you're looking at probably the nearest tick box process in terms of backing a young manager and help them progress. But the problem with the David Moyes appointment is that they didn't give him time. They gave him 9 months and binned him off. Then put Ryan Giggs in.
That's the pressure of football, isn't it?
Yes, when you're trying to follow probably one of the greatest managers of all time in the English Premier League, of course Arsene Wenger as well. But it's a tough act to follow. But I just think the board failed the fans by not backing Moyes as they've backed Ten Hag at this point.
You talk about planning ahead. That just leads me lovely into what I wanted to bring up about, probably maybe the best signing so far this year. Mikel Arteta signed another 3-year extension. I think that is as good as a 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound player being bought for Arsenal. And
I'm glad you brought it up, because there's a lot, and we'll segue this into the fixture coming in this weekend where you've got the North London derby, and it's quite an important time to have that because you've got your fans back in already. But a lot of fans I've seen online are quite bemused by it, and they're not entirely happy with the fact that because he's won nothing in 5 years with his squad. I know he won the FA Cup in his first 6 months, but that was with players that weren't his team. He had Aubameyang up front as captain, that weren't his striker. But they're saying £500 million spent. He's built his team, and they've not won nothing since that. And a lot of the fans have kicked up a fuss about this extension, because it's like, well, when are we going to see the trophies come in now? Because we've been patient enough already. So I'm not again. I think it's the right move again. Back in Arteta, I think yes, you need to do that. You need a plan. You need to build on that.
Oh, take off your Arsenal shirt, man.
Yeah. To answer you, to respond to what you're saying, I think it's evidence of two things. One, you spend too much time on X. If you come over to Fred's, it's lovely. And then also, two, some people don't deserve nice things. And there are a lot of people on other social media outlets who are farming for impressions and things like that. So anything controversial hits. And there might be some people who are genuinely upset as well about Arteta signing another contract. But the reality is, we look better than we did even when Wenger was coming towards the end of his tenure. We look better, we look stronger, and we look more able, and we look more resilient.
And the whole club's together. The whole ethos of the whole club is there. Fans, staff, players. It's not just him.
Songs.
Players. Songs. No, but it's true. Like, you make a joke, but
the whole sort of psychology behind
it,
the off the field battles has helped the club in more ways than one. And I think that because you moved from your heartbeat in terms of the Highbury into a new stadium which had
the same atmosphere as Highbury, some people might say.
The library. Some people that
it ain't definitely like that anymore, though. I'll tell you that.
I know. I do see the progress and the shift in that. So again, it's rebuilding the entire club in a different way, and you're seeing more passionate fans. You're seeing more players actually wanting to come to the club, i.e., Declan Rice choosing Arsenal over Man City, choosing a project over trophies at the moment. I'm not slagging you guys off. I'm saying that he could have guaranteed won a Premier League last year without even kicking the ball, but like Calvin Phillips. But that he chose to go with the project over the given reward as such. So there has been I definitely think there has been a seismic shift, and you've become more of an attractive club as a whole now.
It's stability as well.
Yeah,
you've got that gaffer, especially for some of the players there, or players that he might be chasing in the future. That if you sign for him in January or in the next summer, he's going to be your gaffer without anything crazy a second or anything like that for the next 3 years, 2 years, or whatever it is. I think it's stability, and I think going into the North London derby, with that little bit of buzz around the club, especially with what international break has brought. Arteta signed for another 3 years, and I know Rob said about the haters and all that, but as an Arsenal fan, I think if I'm a player going, the gaffer signed for another 3 years, that's good. Let's hit the North London derby. I mean, I would use that as motivation to go, like, listen, lads, I'm here. I've backed us. I'm staying here. Let's take this. And from his talks about North London derbies how much it means to all the staff, using the famous photographer in the last team talk, let's go and win it for him, or for this guy who's been in...
Retro Guna was there?
No.
No.
This is my club, that guy. This is my club. But yeah, no, I think you're right, Cal. I think Arsenal needed an announcement after the torrid international break that we've had, but then also I think it shows that he still has the complete backing of the board. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best paid manager in the Premier League right now, or up there. I would not be surprised if that's what they've done to keep him, because I think they're desperate to keep him. But I also think it shows that he feels like he's got...
I think it's Ten Hag, actually.
Is it really?
No, I'm messing. I don't know.
And I feel like he feels like he's got unfinished business.
Well, he 100% has unfinished business because he's not won anything yet with his project as such.
No.
Yeah, and I think it'll forever be unfinished business until we win Premier League.
Yeah.
He could win an FA Cup, but for some fans it won't be enough.
I don't think for him it would be enough.
Yeah, and you've got to admire that.
Yeah.
You want a manager that wins everything,
or who wants to win everything.
As what Ronaldo said about Ten Hag. You want a manager that wins everything.
Or who wants to win everything regardless.
But his mentality, don't think... I get that from him. When I watch him and see him, I get the impression that his goal is to go out and get absolutely everything. And I think, this weekend is... Well, the next 2 weekends, let's be honest, not having Tottenham and Man City, I think is... I hate to say it because I know it's so early on in the season, but I think it's make or break. And I think if we drop points this weekend, I think the league's over. And I think my prediction comes in. No, listen.
I said that to Rob off
hear me out. I think the league's over, right? But I also do think we're going to go win the double, and I still think that we will win Champions League and FA Cup this year. But I just think I don't think we'll lose against Tottenham. I generally think we'll go to Tottenham and still win, even with the weakened side and whoever he picks, which I don't begrudge him for this weekend. But I think, unfortunately, dropping against Brighton, if we get a draw against Tottenham and then lose against Man City, or I do think we'll beat Tottenham anyway. But like drop points against Man City, I honestly can't see Man City dropping points. Like, you talk about an invincible season,
unless it's forcing them by the Premier League from Monday.
Well, but then I wouldn't want to win the league that way either. But then that's another whole other episode.
Yeah,
but
either you do or someone else does.
Well, yeah, no, it's true. It might not even be us. Yeah, good shout.
It's so you might as well be in the running to be that asterisk more than anything. But going on to that, you've got, as you touched on, the North London derby. What's your feelings going into that in terms of your Premier League review this week?
Well, it's been a mess because obviously we're without Rice. Odegaard got a ridiculous injury, really. It was just one of those.
Has it been confirmed how long he's out
Potentially
for?
3 weeks.
I heard 3 months.
No, I've no 3 months.
It's 3 weeks, I've heard, yeah.
And then also Calafiori could be out for a couple of weeks. Now, it's annoying because I don't like these fixtures anyway. But the reality is, we've lost our leader, who's our best presser. He's our creative outlet. He finds space. He makes the right passes. Like, he's a big loss. But I also think that Arteta has built a team that can cope for it better than it might have done last year. You know, I've seen people saying, "Oh, well, Emil Smith-Rowe would have come in this year." Yeah, well, there's a reason why he let Emil Smith-Rowe go. There's a reason why he let Fabio Vieira go. And it's because he didn't think they were good enough. No matter how sentimental we are about Emil Smith-Rowe, he didn't think he was good enough. So, in terms of, I suppose, what that leads me to ask you then, Cal, is what, with the fact that we've got this potential Calafiori injury, Rice is out, and so is Odegaard. Who's your first 11?
Oh, God. It's tough. So, obviously, Raya, I think the back four, or whatever the system's going to be, but back four is Timber, Gabs, Saliba, and Benny Blanco. Saka, I think it's going to be Jorginho, Partey in the middle with Trossard, and I think he's going to have Havertz drop in, and I've gone Sterling up top.
Okay.
That's all off the top of my head. I mean, is Jesus back?
He is back, yeah.
I just think
got to play Jesus, yeah.
I think what, North London derby? You mad? He's going North London derby. You've just got your brand new striker that Chelsea are paying £10 million for us this year. Oh, we should laugh at Chelsea as well, to be fair. But yeah, you know, Chelsea are paying us or paying helping us pay. Yeah.
Can't you play Sterling left, Martinelli on the bench with Jesus up top?
No, because I'll put Trossard in. I think Havertz is going to play up front, drop in, and then Sterling up front.
Would you have Trossard off the bench to?
Why not have Jesus off the bench? Last 15 minutes.
Yeah, possibly.
And especially as he's come back from injury as well.
Yeah, possibly.
But that's what I think. I think, you know, you got Sterling who ain't played yet. Everyone's can't wait to see what he does and what he brings, and if he brings anything different. And this whole he ain't finished yet his message out. And I just think North London derby, go and make a statement, go and get a hat trick, please.
So
what's your 11, Rob?
I went with Raya, White, Saliba, Gabs, Timber. But if Calafiori's fit, I would start Calafiori over Timber.
Yeah, to be fair, so would
I think Timber's got this.
Timber had a fantastic international break.
I know he did.
Top opposition.
I know he did, but Calafiori has got that kind of like, oh man, he's got that swagger. He's
a good-looking bloke. Isn't he?
I've got my reservations on him.
I think he's a wonderful footballer, but I wouldn't be surprised if he started with Timber. But I would start Calafiori because I think Calafiori has got a ridiculous mentality for that kind of occasion, and I think he would.
Well, he's Italian, isn't he? They love a punch.
I just think he would eat it up.
They love a rough. They love getting in the trenches.
I just think he would eat it up. I'd have Partey and DM, and then the four across the middle. I'm going Saka and probably Nelly. Now the reason why I'm going Nelly,
the elephant.
Yeah.
Patsy's trunk and say goodbye to the circus.
Well, not to Man U. And the reason why I go Martinelli in this game is because Porro is going to bomb down the right, and I think that if and I expect Tottenham to overcommit, Nelly will be a fantastic outlet in that situation because he will be gone, and Porro is probably one of the only defenders in the league who could catch him actually. But if Porro commits, Nelly will be gone, and that ball, if it's available, Partey is the player to find it from that deep line playmaker position in defensive midfield. And then in the middle, although it pains me, I've put Havertz at left centre midfield. I really didn't want to. And then I've got a selection of three that could be Nwaneri, Trossard, or even Zinchenko playing in Odegaard's position. And then either Jesus or Sterling up front. And the reason why, again, is I just think with the overcommitting of the
defense,
the Tottenham attack, I think that Arsenal will be well prepared to catch them when they press forward too much, and we'll get them on the break. But either way, I just think Arsenal. I just think Arsenal will win, and there's been a lot of like digging out of Nwaneri is our only backup for Odegaard or whatever. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. If Arteta thinks he's ready, he's old enough. And the other thing with that as well is Arsenal have got a very long history of taking young players, putting them in the centre of the park and watching them absolutely cook. Cesc Fabregas, Jack Wilshere, even Emil Smith-Rowe. Ramsey. They didn't necessarily like... Ramsey was a little bit older, but, you know, we've got a history of playing small midfielders in big games.
Well, Vieira was young when he came to us.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about like people who've sort of more come through the system a little bit more. Jack Wilshere against Barcelona. I just think that if he thinks he's ready, then play him.
In a North London derby.
100%.
No, I mean, listen, you know, come by the moment, innit?
Yeah, well, Emil Smith-Rowe played against Chelsea, I think, in Boxing Day one year. And nobody expected that. It was like a surprise start, so why not?
What do you think the score's going to be?
I reckon we'll win 2-0.
Adam, what do you reckon our score's going to be?
I think you're going to beat them 4-1.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm going 3-1 and Sterling gets 2.
I think you're going to literally run them over. I think it's just going to eliminate all process of doubt that's going on in your fan base at the minute. You've got Jorginho and Partey that's going to control the middle of the park.
Worried about their legs though.
Yeah, but you've got a defence behind them that are quick, and I actually think both your centre backs will score, especially from set pieces from Spurs, because I just don't. I'm not saying this because I've got as much of dislike of Spurs as what you do as Arsenal fans. I just don't get the project at Spurs, and I don't think Ange Postecoglou is the right person for that club. And it's Spurs fans listening, I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. And I just think Spurs have gone the wrong way, and it's almost like a false sense of security. I mean, they've still spent money. They can't moan at Levy for not parting with cash, but I just think they've bought the wrong players for them, for the system that they want to play, and bought them too young as well. So then you've got to give them patience and time for them to develop. And how can they develop if the project ain't right? So I think there's a lot of things going wrong at Spurs at the moment for them to be the club that they want to be. So I think you'll smash them.
Well, do you know what, Adam? I think that was so well said, and I think you've really summed up the Arsenal Tottenham North London derby really well. So why don't you take us into West Ham Fulham?
Another derby.
From one London derby to the other.
To another.
So we got Fulham at Fulham this time, and it's another game for West Ham within the M25 radius. We don't go outside the M25 until in the league until November.
Watch out, Adam's bringing these bubbles.
That's it. Yeah, I don't need to. They're all within the East London area. I'm looking forward to the game. Obviously, you've got quite a few ex-Arsenal players in that team, from Emil Smith-Rowe to Alex Iwobi, and it's and Leno as well. So you've got, it's almost like an Arsenal B team, isn't it? There,
a little bit.
Again, I'm hoping that they're the Fulham that Callum predicted are going to get odds on relegated, but I think they've got quite a bit of talent there, and they've been a bogey. They smashed us 5-0 at their place last year,
and you lost 2-0.
We lost at home to them as well. So it's the first time they've done 6 points on us for a very, very long time. But I think from what I've seen in games, the first 3 games, and seen the way that we're going to play, I'm judging this on its own merit rather than based off taking the Moyes style. We're playing completely differently. It's the complete opposite. So I think we could beat them this weekend. It'll be narrow, but I think we'll beat them. We had a bit of a scare over the international break with Fulkrug picking up a Achilles tendon injury. He's returned to training, and upon further investigation, it comes out he's got tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis. So it's not as bad as first feared if it was a rupture, because if it was a rupture, it's 9 months out. But apparently it's something that he's had issues with throughout his career, and it hasn't hampered him that much. So there's even a talk about him being in the game at the weekend, when there was talk about him being out for 3 weeks. So I'm quite pleased about that, because I'm desperate for Fulkrug to do well, because I'm desperate for West Ham to sign a striker that's actually going to bag over 15 goals this season. So I'm fully supportive behind him. I think we've got a good squad. I think we could really cause problems for the league this year. And as everyone's predicted, we could be an outside shot for top 6. And I think the way we're playing, I think there's a lot of punters are going to be happy with their backing on that.
I think the exciting thing for both teams is that they both really invested in their managers.
Well, we've had to, because it's a new manager.
No, I know you've had to.
So we've got to trust the process. As many people like to point out.
But I think both Fulham and West Ham fans have got a lot to be excited for, because they can see that there's been an attempt to really invest and reboot the team. Both for West Ham and for Fulham, and I think actually I think this could be the game of the weekend. I know that from a biased point of view, I'm only really interested in North London Derby this weekend, but as the second game, I think this one could be a really good one to watch, or to watch back if it's not on Sky or BT.
And it's also it's a fixture that's close to my heart. I've always liked Fulham as my second team, purely because of being brought up around my nan and granddad's house, and them having a VHS player and playing the West Ham Cup final 1975, where Alan Taylor scores both goals against a Bobby Moore-led Fulham and Alan Mullery. So those sort of images always have stuck in my mind, and I've got a lot of love for Fulham.
I feel like you've always got a second team or a team you've got a soft spot for
Fulham
every week.
I've got a lot of love for football. I could probably tell you a team in most every country that I would back if I was from that country, if I'm completely honest. If you wanted to just throw a country out there, whenever we're talking, I could throw a team back as to what I'd go to. But Fulham has always been, if West Ham didn't exist or cease to exist, I think Fulham would be my team. I could go the glory route, but I'll go Fulham.
What do you think the score's going to be?
I think 2-1. I can't see us not conceding. As much as I'd like it to happen, we did that against Palace away as well. I think that's something worth pointing out as well. Max Kilman, people bolt at the amount we paid for him, like £40 million. Everyone's going, £40 million for a Wolves defender? Not too sure about that. Been our best signing, 100%. And he has offered something we have lacked since we've got rid of since Declan Rice left, is that deep drive of the ball from a defensive position into an attacking area that could provide an assist. And he done that against Palace, and I was like, that's what we've missed. That's what we missed last season. Was that just that little dribble to just bypass two players in the centre of the park to completely open up the attack. And I think that is going to be the crucial part of our play moving forward. And we've got ball playing defenders now. We've got Kilman, we've got Tadibo coming in. Maverick Panos can play a little bit. And then we've also got the youngster Caden Casey as well, who has been dubbed the next John Terry, effectively.
Yeah, I also think you will win. I think your midfield will be too much for them. And I like Fulham's midfield.
You forget we signed Carlos Soler.
Yeah,
it hasn't featured yet.
Yeah,
we've got Rodriguez that we got on a free that almost went to Barcelona. We've still got Thomas Soucek, so we've got Paquetá. James Ward-Prowse has gone out on loan, but like even that sort of option of even if he was still there is still exciting. It's the most. We say this every year. It's probably the best West Ham squad that we've ever seen. But I genuinely think this is the strongest squad that I've seen for many a year at West Ham.
I think your midfield I think your midfield will be too much for them, and I think you have a better central defence partnership. The jury's
and Wan-Bissaka as well.
That's what I mean.
Just name some kind of like just bypassing, but we've got such a good squad.
But I do think the jury's still out for the top for me, so I think you will win 1-0.
Okay.
I do think you'll win, but I'm not sure about Fulkrug yet. And Mikel Antonio is a great
scored yesterday, I think.
Who, Mikel Antonio?
Yeah, scored for Jamaica yesterday.
Okay, right. Well, he's got to get back into the UK, train.
Hungry, stayed about. Got Somerville, got Caduce.
I think striker is your weakest.
Bowen
is your weakest area. I think your midfield, and I'm including Bowen in the midfield there, by the way. I think your midfield and your defence is where your strength is. I do think Leno is better than Areola, though, and I think that is the only problem I have. I think Leno will have an absolute blinder. So that's why I've gone 1-0.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm gonna go 2 draw.
Desmond.
I think it's gonna be a fast and furious sort of match, and it's gonna be back and forth. I think there's gonna be tackles. I think there's gonna be yellow cards. I think there's gonna be. I'm actually gonna throw it out there. I reckon there'll be a send off in your game.
Yeah.
This week.
Always tends to be in a full-on game.
Yeah.
Even if Soma Suchek inadvertently pokes Mitrovic in the eye and gets sent off by.
But yeah, I think it will be a proper. I think it will be the game of the weekend, and I think it's going to be a 2-2 absolute Barney. To be fair.
Thank you.
I think it's an exciting looking game. I do really think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Nice one. Okay, so we're going from top flight football now to the lower leagues, which is we decided to put this in, keep this in our segments for the podcast that we do, because we had such a good positive feedback by acknowledging the local National League teams and lower league teams close to us, because with ticket prices going up and up and up, obviously getting to watch West Ham and Arsenal is starting to become a bit problematic for us to get our kids into football, let alone to support our clubs anyway. So National League, Rob, would you like to do your report on how Braintree Town got on this weekend? The Braintree Town will be our official, corresponding. Would they be the team that we would follow every week now?
Braintree Town?
Because they're local to us.
Mate, you can follow Braintree Town if you want, mate. I'm an Halstead boy. I'm up the Umbucks.
We can follow both because we're in 2 different leagues. So,
well, as a former manager of Braintree Town FC, they are still close to my heart.
You're going to have to put a disclaimer in there.
After I was so cruelly fired after winning the Champions League and replaced, I still haven't forgiven Jack Sims. And sadly I
don't think Jack Sims has ever forgiven you, mate.
Sadly, Braintree Town started to get a little bit of momentum, and I think they had 3 draws on the bounce. But this week, York away proved too much, and they lost 2-1 after taking a very early lead. Actually, I think it was in the first 4 or 5 minutes, and a young man called Terry scored, who happens
Frankie
Terry, who happens to be the nephew.
Yep.
Of a one John Terry.
Is that Paul Terry's son?
I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah, because Paul Terry, ex-Dagenham Redbridge legend.
Yeah. But, so he scored in the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then they were then well beaten. They're 18th, and they've taken 7 points from 8 games, and it's just not looking very good. Appreciate that they were promoted, and they've been pushing hard, but at the moment it's looking like a step too far for them. So fingers crossed that they find some form, because they've made some good signings and they've got a good squad. They've got a good squad there, but it's a big challenge for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for the Iron. Come you Iron.
But then we've got the Umbugs.
The Umbugs.
Mate.
Up the Umbugs.
Listen,
what a result.
4-3 against the Airportman Stansted FC. And by the way, so Halstead hadn't won a game yet. And in midweek, Stansted FC had just won their first game, so they were coming into the game with a lot of momentum. But actually, what we had was an old-fashioned slobber knocker, because this game.
What did you say that?
I was doing Jim Ross. No, is it Jim Ross? Is that his name?
You son of a bitch!
So
that's Vince McMahon.
that was Vince McMahon. Can't talk about him no more. But
we can.
No. So listen, this game was big. It was a local rivalry. Halstead needed to get some points on the board. Stansted had got a win in the midweek. There was a lot of pressure on it, but it was one of those games where nothing happened for about half an hour and then everything happened. And then it was 3-3. I feel like it looked like everything was settled for a draw. And then I think in the 96th minute, the boy on the left came down the left, cut in and won the game. But
the boy.
Yeah, the boy.
The boy came down the left.
I can't remember. I didn't write his name down. But basically, names aside, so I apologise, Halstead. But
do better. Bro.
I will do better next time. But now Halstead find themselves in 17th and they are out of the relegation zone. So a really good result. Hopefully they can build on it. Can't wait to come and watch you on Tuesday next week.
Yeah, the boys are coming down. We're all coming down. Adam's coming late because he's doing dad stuff before he comes over.
I think it's more husband stuff.
Husband, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Don't read too much into that.
Yeah, they're playing Takeley.
That's not far from Stansted.
Who currently sit in 11th.
That's not far. That's another local derby, effectively, isn't it?
But they sit in 11th. So that Halstead's goal difference is ridiculous because we've had a few spankings, but we could potentially, if we do beat Takeley, go up a couple of places. Yeah. So we could potentially find ourselves in around 15th. But other than that, the goal difference is too much. But yeah, so can't wait for Tuesday.
Come down and watch it. Yeah, come and have a chat.
Come support your local teams.
If you can find us, that is.
And if not, support any of your local teams.
Definitely support your local teams. This is something that we're going to try and push a lot more often. And that is. We're football lovers of all levels. So why not go and support your local team? Grassroots is the fundamentals of where clubs are. So
yeah. We're nearly done, aren't we, boys?
Yeah, I think that's...
I've got one question for us before we do finish, though.
We have a question from a listener.
Yeah.
Long-time listener.
Long-time listener. For all 5 episodes. Thank you, Keith, at the Retro Gooner. This was his question. There is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek element to this, but I do think we can discuss the more serious side. What faith do we have in the Premier League doing the right thing with the Man City hearing starting on Monday? And then the side to that is, if so, does this mean we will now win the league? We'll talk about winning the league to the side. Because
is this an Arsenal question?
The last part was.
Right, okay.
But like I said, I feel like we've already
zoned out there. I thought, this is an Arsenal.
No. I feel like we'll ignore the last part because, like I said, I think that was tongue in cheek. But the very real thing about this, though, and we talked about financial fair play on here a couple of times already. The hearing starts on Monday. This is probably going to be drawn out for at least another couple of years because whatever the result will be in this, someone's going to appeal. And it'll carry on for a bit longer, and then the next thing will be appealed. But now it's going to a hearing. What are you thinking?
I just can't see how they can get away with 100. Was it 115?
Yeah, I think it's 115 charges, but some of those charges are the same charges. So even though it's 115 charges, it's almost like 50 of them could be the same as doing something twice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but I think with Leicester's, playing or being clever,
financial loophole.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, that they found. I think Man City are obviously that's a win for Man City because that gives them hope. Because if one team can do it, that means another team can definitely do it. But I just can't see how they won't find them guilty for some charge. Having 115 or 50, 60 or whatever it might be because they're doubled up or whatever. I just can't see them not getting nicked or getting caught for one of them.
Yeah.
If they've done it, and they haven't got backing or evidence to say they've made this money or got this money or whatever the charges may land on. I just cannot see them not getting done. But I still wouldn't want to win the league by them getting deducted points. I'd rather them get. I mean, I know it's not going to mean nothing to them, but have never be allowed to buy a player for 10 years. Yeah, or getting fined £6 billion or something. I don't know, something ridiculous. But for them to lose 20 points and us win it, even though as a football fan, people are going to go, well, they're still the best team, or they, for me, it doesn't mean nothing. Losing points, I'd rather them get done some other how, than that way, or whoever's going to win the league because Man City got deducted points. But
I think you want to win it because you want to win. It. Nobody
wants the best team.
Nobody wants the asterisk next to their name. But I suppose to kind of come more specifically to what you were saying, Keith, is that if they can, I think the Premier League will try to hang them. But I just don't see it happening. I honestly, as much as I would love to see them get their just desserts, and the reason why I'm saying this is not because I'm a bitter Arsenal fan. I'm saying it because, I had to watch, after we moved to the Emirates, we had to put up with windows where we were signing people like Yaya Sanogo for a couple of million quid because that's all we had in the budget, and somehow Wenger still qualifying for Champions League. With players
league
like that,
after league season after season,
so that we could so that basically he could pave the way for a Mikel Arteta to take over.
True.
And be able to spend money.
I think that's the tough bit that you just touched on, is that more or less, in a way, most of the clubs in the Premier League have benefited from it one way or another, haven't they? Whether it's Pep Guardiola coming in and getting Arteta in as his understudy to then grow and develop with, if Pep Guardiola wasn't at Man City, Arteta would never have gone to Man City to learn that education with the best players in the world, to win trophies, to then be able to have the confidence to be Arsenal manager. So again, it's hard to. 95% of me wants Man City to be punished for it. But the 5% of me is like, we've all benefited in a way because of it. Because if you look at, it's a butterfly effect, isn't it? Because if the Premier League are not so much allowed but turned a blind eye for certain things that have happened to Man City, for them to get in the best players in the world, it's made the league more attractive, which then makes the 20 clubs in the league more attractive to get players in. Like, there's no way West Ham on their own would have been able to attract Lucas Paquetá because he wanted to play for West Ham. He's Brazil's number 8. He wanted to go Arsenal, but because we played in Premier League football, it's a gateway. So players are coming to the Premier League because then if they perform well because of the league that they're in, they can make that move to Man City or a top 6 club. So it's such a tough and touchy subject.
But then I would also argue, you say they made that gateway. I think that gateway was already there in the sense of
you could
Arsenal,
go to
Man
Chelsea,
United. Yeah, you could have gone. Yeah, but
As
even
far
before
back as
that, I think it's like Real Madrid and Barcelona. The only time people want to go to Spain is to play for one of them 2 clubs. Mm-hmm. But it was the same in the 90s. Players wanted to come to Arsenal were getting. To be fair, I'm actually going to disagree. I think actually Arsenal made that gateway because I think bringing in Bergkamp, first off, was one of the first foreign players to come in. That opened the gateway, and then we had people like Vieira and Nicolas Anelka. I think it was actually Arsenal that paved that, and then from that it then ballooned. I know what you're trying to say is because of the money, people that it's more attractive for people to come over here, and and don't get me wrong, if I was playing, you want to be trained by or play under the best managers in the world.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know the money has brought that, and Mourinho and all the other top gaffers that are out there. But I think there's a more of a legacy that has brought big name players over here. And I'm not saying it's just Arsenal, even though I think Arsenal was one of the first, but Man United would be up there again. Chelsea, Liverpool. I think these are all teams that have brought to be fair, I don't want to say, but even like Tottenham, with Janina and some of them, some of them players as well. I think it's always been there, but I just think, I suppose we have arguably benefited, but at the end of the day, I still think, that they're going to try and throw the book at them, but I think they're going to find a way out of it. Yeah. I think there was an important friend of the show, Terry Fleurs from the Football Terrace, actually pointed out on a YouTube video he done today where he was debating the top 6, and he said the main battle is not proving that Man City are guilty, it's trying to prove their innocence in it. So it's harder to fight that they're guilty for 115 charges, but now they've got to prove that they're clear of that. And then I think the Premier League will win that court battle, because I think Man City will struggle to prove their innocence in it. And I think there will be repercussions of it. I don't think it will end up in them being relegated as much as I think it should. But I think they'll get a hefty points deduction, which will make them a bottom half team. And then it will be a clean slate next season. That's my opinion. I think they could get a 40-point deduction, maybe.
The thing is,
and then they might even still finish mid-table because of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if they are proven to be guilty or not able to prove their innocence, then hopefully it's dealt with appropriately. If you look at the Evertons of the world, I'm not sure if anything will be done this season, though. I think this will drag, and I think at the very earliest this will come into play for the 25-26 season. I just don't see it happening.
I think the objective was to get it to court by autumn 2025, but that's somehow been fast tracked by the Premier League to this Monday. So they must have had something or an agreement in place for the punishment for that court hearing to be pushed forward a year to then get the process up the straight. Man City might have heard rumblings that, I'll tell you what, if you admit fault to this and this, you're only going to get punished this season, and the next season you remain in the Premier League, you still get your money. It's just about staying up, and then you still get to compete in Champions League. So then you could play in the Champions League again if you win it.
That's what I was about to say. If they do finish 10th but win the Champions League, nothing changes.
Yeah, that's it. So I think
crazy, innit?
So I think there's been behind the scenes negotiations like to make it look like the Premier League's won, but Man City aren't massively in debt because of it. Yeah.
So to answer your question, Keith, we think Man City will be punished, but there's been a few secret handshakes in place that keeps everything as it was.
We have no evidence of that at all.
Yeah, because if you change the dynamic of that league, it doesn't just affect the Premier League; it affects Championship, League One. So all them clubs, like you're probably looking at 4 teams getting relegated, and then you've got to get 4 teams promoted from Championship, and you've got to get 4 teams promoted to League One, and then you've only got 2 teams relegated from League One to go into League Two. So then the teams from League Two suffer because they've missed out on a promotion place because of Man City's thing. So
the dynamics is so messy.
It's just a massive snowball effect, isn't it? It doesn't just affect Premier League; it affects the entire 92 teams. Because
unless they do what they did with Rangers and make them start from League 4
from the bottom, but then again, it still affects National League because then their promotion place goes, or it affects the League 2 relegation battlers because then there'll be an additional relegation place up for grabs to compensate the teams in the National League, and the money from National League to League 2 is huge. We've seen that with Wrexham. They got promoted and they had that significant financial boost. They went straight into League 1 because of it. And now, by the way they're playing, they're not far off getting promoted. I'll say it's early days yet. It's only game week 3 from Premier League, but they could get promoted to Championship. And again, like the financial benefits from where they were 3 years ago. Yeah. Crazy. Thanks for that question, Keith.
Thanks, Keith. Took us down a little rabbit hole there. That was good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the end of this week's episode 5. And thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you coming back next week.
Good chat, lads.
Good chat.
All the best, fellas.